Paul George has been under some heat lately, and it's not because he hit the side of the backboard. All right. Friend of the show, Foot on the Line. I don't know who this guy is, to be honest with you. Made a video called Paul George is Delusional. Links to this video will always be in the description. Let's get straight into it, man. There has been a decent amount of conversation about Paul George. We had discussions about this as well on my podcast, Let's Keep It a Buck. Was he being selfish? Was he not? Let's talk about it.
So PG decided to sit down and talk about what happened with negotiations between him and his previous team with the Clippers, and I left this whole situation believing that Paul George might be one of the most delusional stars I have ever witnessed in my entire lifetime.
LA, and you just left a team with 3 other players from LA, James Harden, Kawhi Leonard, Russell Westbrook, and we know this had to be a hard decision leaving your boys and everything, but we know it's a business out here. So at the end of the day, you have to do this for your family. So I want to know, what was the negotiations like with the Clippers to before and whatever through the discussion to let you know that, hey, I'm leaving y'all and I'm going to Philly?
Yeah, just to put it out there, like, I never wanted to leave LA, right? Initially, I was not trying to leave LA.
First of all, before he gets into explanation, WNBA media, I think we've been criticizing the NBA media a lot lately, but this is the beauty of, like, player podcasts. Instead of ESPN asking them a question about their contract negotiations, Paul George can go on his own platform and get his perspective out there the way he wants to talk about it. Now, the conversation today is the validity in how he went about it and how genuine it is. Because I do feel like if you're just going to lie on your own podcast, does that defeat the whole purpose of player podcasts having their own perspective and all that? But
LA is home. This is where I wanted to finish at. I wanted to work as hard as possible to win one in LA. Like, that was the goal, to be here and be committed to LA. As it played out, though, like, the first initial deal was, I thought, kind of disrespectful. Right? In all of this, no hard feelings, no love lost, no, like, it's a business, like you said. So the first initial deal was like 2 years, 60. So I'm like, whoa.
Now, I ain't gonna lie, that's disrespectful. 2 years, 60s is crazy. Because that basically means they about to pay him on average around $30 million a year. Nah, that's disrespectful. 30 mil, just as a sidebar, just so you understand, like, what?
30 mil. Disrespect. Yo, these NBA players work on a different scale. I get it though. Obviously, you know, your market value is your market value, but
30 mil looks like in the NBA. For a player of his age and status, 30 million is basically like how much certain players in their rookie extension makes. But somebody who's been in the NBA as long as PG, that's around Drew Holiday money, Jeremy Grant money, Andrew Wiggins, a little bit more than Andrew Wiggins, Chris Middleton money, Julius Randle money, you know, CJ McCollum money. Like, now,
maybe we need to have a real conversation about who Paul George is now. Is that on a year by? Is that real? I guess, bro. Listen, I've always said on this platform that as the player, you do not become Paul George without having some sort of delusion to you. Ironically enough, because that's the title of this video, right? You don't become an all-star, all-NBA dude without thinking you the shit. You know what I'm saying? There's a level of ego that comes with that. But if we're talking about from an outside perspective, does Paul George deserve this money, or is he being paid out of his rate? If these are the names, I mean,
he's better
I'm
than
just
that. So
saying.
I'm gonna be honest, and I'm gonna be fair to PG. That's a crazy number. That's disrespect. So I see where PG coming from, but it definitely gets worse after that.
2 years, 60.
Hey, that's crazy, bro.
That's great.
That's crazy.
That's crazy.
So I'm like,
Wow.
no, I'm not signing that. Like, now we're getting into the negotiating. Like, I'm not taking that deal. And so they saying this, that, like, you know, we want you and Kawhi here long term. Like, we want y'all to be here, all of this stuff, right? So then, you know, as we're continuing to negotiate, as the season goes on, and mind you, this was started before the season started. So this was kind of like, I could be wrong on actual timing, but this was maybe like October-ish, when the negotiations first started, and it was 260. And as we kept going, it was like, you know, they would go up inches, to where it was like 44, 45, right? But this was like couple months in between before we got it to 40 something. Still like, nah, I'm not doing that. Then I hear wind of like, what they're going to give Kawhi. So I'm like, just give me what Kawhi got. Like,
Right.
y'all view us the same. Like, we came here together. We want to finish this shit together.
Got a window what Kawhi got. You call Kawhi.
I'll take what Kawhi got. Like, no
cool
problem.
with
I was cool with that.
This is the reason why you should not have a podcast with a bunch of yes men, because the amount of yes manning we're about to see in this clip is about to be so unbearable, it makes no sense. But let's start it out by saying Paul George believing that he should get the same amount of money as Kawhi is crazy to me, because you're not that caliber of player. You're not. And what's even worse is that even though I understand that PG's supposed to expect as much money as he possibly can, I get it. But PG, you've been on record stating how you believe that you're no longer can be the best player on the team. You're not going to be the number one option. That you may have to take a backseat role to someone else, because it's not like how it was back in Indiana.
And I didn't know where I was going to go. I didn't know where I was going to get traded when I requested a trade out of Indiana. I ended up falling in Oklahoma with Superstar with Russ. And initially it was just, this is different. This is obviously a different role for me, not being the guy anymore. But like, how can I be of service and bring what I do and add to what he's doing? Honestly, I felt like that was where my place was. Like, I had to be honest to myself that, like, in order for me to win at the...
I do feel like if I'm Paul George, though, my counter to that would be similar to, like, Jaylen Brown and the Celtics, which, to be fair, a lot of people do give pushback on if Jaylen Brown is worth the Supermax, right? Is my value to this team isn't necessarily just me and what I bring to the table. It's the culmination of like what me and Kawhi bring to the table, specifically with Paul George, and also the replaceability factor of, I am Paul George. If you don't pay me this money, how are you guys going to replace me? And it's looking like they don't really have a Paul George replacement. You know what I'm saying? Unless you're going to look at the Clippers and say, less is more, in terms of them getting better without Paul George, but in terms of losing the asset that is Paul George, you do have leverage in that sense of, y'all aren't the Lakers. Like, and even the Lakers, right? Like, they're losing some of that touch as well. Like, if I go and y'all don't pay me my rate, y'all aren't going to be able to replace me. So I now have the leverage of saying, meet me at my price. So
highest level or get to where I want to get to. I don't think I'm the one guy. I don't think, but I can score with the best. I can take over games with the best, but I don't honestly think that's what my game is if I want to win a championship. I don't think that's where my place is if I want to win a championship.
And to be fair to Paul George, when he said that, I applauded him, because I think one aspect of many of these players' identities throughout their time, not just in the league, but just existing in general, right? We're talking about individuals at the height of PG or even higher, where for the most part, from the beginning, the inception of when they start playing basketball to where they're at the pinnacle of their powers in their mid to late 20s, bro, they have effectively been the best player on every team they've ever played for in their entire life of basketball. So when you get to a point of having to have some level of like understanding, self-awareness, reflective of like everything else that's happened, you reflect back, you look back on how things pan out, and you come to the understanding that maybe I'm not the number one option. I actually applauded the hell out of Paul George for that quote, because it takes a lot of self-awareness to understand that, and to not only understand that who you are as a player, but to put your ego aside and play a role that will be the betterment of your team's success. Because there's a lot of players in his situation that put themselves in front of the team, put their ego in front of the team, then try to prove something that was inevitably detrimental to what the team was trying to succeed. And so I applaud Paul George for that. I really, really do. But if you're going to acknowledge that, which he acknowledged that back in OKC, I can only imagine what he acknowledged when he was playing next to Kawhi. So if you acknowledge it in OKC,
I sort of got, I think there's a quote that Paul George literally said, like, he's the 2 to Kawhi, or at least Kawhi's the 1. Like, not even on that's not even an OKC quote. I don't know if that's a Mandela effect thing from me, but nah.
KC, then why would you even believe that a team that was already lowballing you, to be fair, is going to pay you the same amount of money that they're paying Kawhi, who is viewed as the best player on the team? That makes no sense.
Still taking less. We were taking less. Kawhi took less. I was like, if Kawhi gonna take less, I'm not gonna say I want more than Kawhi. Like, I'm not gonna like it's not about me being paid more than him. Like, I'm gonna take what he got. Y'all give him that, give me that. They didn't want to do that. So this was before the All-Star break. So I'm like, you know what? I don't want, like, let's not even have no more conversation. Like,
that is where Paul George kind of pickles himself, I guess, for lack of a better term. Like him saying, yeah, I'm not taking more than Kawhi is of a middle of, I'm at most not better than Kawhi. You know what I'm saying? So asking for anything more than Kawhi is where you lose me. And we are going to get into it later in this video. Paul George does ask for more than Kawhi. And you already admitted that I'm not going to ask more than Kawhi because I'm not Kawhi and Kawhi is Kawhi. You know what I'm saying? So
let's just play this year out, because it was starting to get into like my mood. Now I'm you know what I mean. Like I didn't want to have that energy carry over into the team
on the court.
So because I could see it starting to bleed a little bit into the team, where I was just like disconnected. I didn't want to fuck with nobody. Like I was kind of just kind of to myself a little bit. So I was like, man, let's just let this shit play out. Let me get to the end of this year and we'll discuss this again. We'll pick up conversations again. So we do that, right? Season in, I finished healthy, 74 games played, and had one of my most efficient seasons. So now we go into negotiations. Now they bring it to 3 years, 150.
So mind you, he said he wanted what Kawhi got. He said that, of course, I'm not going to take more money than what Kawhi got. I mean, he's Kawhi. Furthering the idea that he understands that Kawhi is the best player. He's the number one option. What do I look like taking more money than Kawhi? And then they give him the money and the contract that he was asking for. Do you think he took it? Do you think PG took that money? Let's see.
A part of me was still like, all right, that's cool. It sucks that it had to get to this point, like that we couldn't get this figured out a lot sooner, but
way early, right?
Now we at the end of the year, 3 years, 150. So I'm like, all right, like now we're in a ballpark. You know what I mean? Now we can have conversation here. And again, it still wasn't about the money, because when I went back to have the negotiation at the end of the year, I presented the 150 no trade. Because in the meeting, they're like, we want you here long term. We want to, when you're retired, we want you to be.
Why though? That's my thing. Why? Unless you made it clear that your price changed throughout the negotiation process from 3-year 150. You say this whole time, hey man, just give me the Kawhi deal and I'll resign. They give you the Kawhi deal and you want to add shit on top. That's not how business works. I'm sorry. Like I'm telling you right now, chat. If a brand hits me up, because this is essentially like the way I'm viewing it. If a brand hits me up, let's say Logitech, shout out to Logitech, please sponsor me. If Logitech hits me up and says, all right, BSOLZ, we want to offer you $20,000 for 5 videos, right? I look at that and say, that's a low ball, right? I don't even have to say it outright. I just say, my rate is $40,000, right? Even if it takes 6 months to get to $40,000 through the email chains, through the negotiation process. If I don't make it clear at any point that my price changed from $40,000 to now $50,000. And then by month 6, they meet me at $40,000. They doubled their fucking price, which is essentially what happened here. They went from 2-year 60 to 3-year 150, right? They tripled the value of the whole deal on a year-by-year basis. They up his salary from 30 to 50 million. That's what I don't know, 66% jump. So yeah, if Logitech meets me at 40,000 and they hit me up, yo, BSOLZ, after further consideration, we would like to meet you at 40,000. And then I come back the next day without telling them my price has changed at all and say, give me 50,000. Give me 50,000. Or maybe not even that. Let's say it was 40,000 for 5 videos, but I hit them and say 40,000 for 4 videos and y'all got me locked. Because that's essentially what Paul George, like, you already locked it on the deal, just give me one less video. That I feel like that's what Paul George thought the no trade clause was. It's just throw this little add-on and y'all got me. But again, at least in my scenario, I think the only other case where you can really renegotiate like that is like real estate. In my I'm like, if my thing is, okay, if I feel like my value changed throughout this whole process, that's fine for me, right? My price actually did change. I can go to other teams now, which is what Paul George did. I can go to other teams that can offer me that money if I truly feel like my prerogative is getting the best deal I can get. But if I'm Logitech, though, if I'm the Clippers, bro, you didn't tell me your price changed at all. Your price was still $40,000. We met you there, and now you want to play this. I'm out. I'm out on some Shark Tank shit. Like I'm good. I'm good, bro. I'm good. You can legitimately kick rocks. Matter of fact, we gonna make an IG post saying we're not gonna resign you. Nah, bro. That's how that works. Nah. So if I'm the Clippers, I'm glad they stood on business. I ain't gonna lie.
Be a Clippers for a lifetime, like all of this stuff. We want you to be here. We want you to be a Clippers your whole career. So I'm like, cool. Give me the 3 years, 150, no trade then.
So he's asking for a 3-year, 150 no trade clause. Just as a sidebar, for people out there who don't know what a no trade clause is, effectively, you have a player who has the ability to decline being traded at any whim. This is the same type of deal that Bradley Beal has with his deal right now. And it's part of the reason why Bradley Beal's on the worst contract in the NBA, because the Suns, or even the Wizards, when he's back with the Wizards, whatever team he's on, cannot move off of him, regardless of how poorly he may play or underwhelming he is. They cannot move off of him at all unless he okays it. So now, PG is literally sitting here saying that he wants that. I believe as of right now, I think maybe Giannis has it, Curry at one point had it, LeBron has it as well. He just got it. But that's really it. It's like the top 5 to 7 players have had it. And if I'm not mistaken, I think only 10 players in totality has had it over the past like 20 years. KG, Kobe, Duncan, Dirk. Those are the caliber of players who gets no trade clause. Listen.
I think Mike Conley got one. And like, weirdly enough, Luke Cornett. I read that somewhere. Did I just get ball sacked? I don't know. I don't know.
Paul George, my nigga, you're not those players at all. You're just not. But you can't sit here and say that you wanted near what Kawhi got, and then they gave you that, and then you turn around and say, I'm happy we're here. I'm happy we're here, but I actually do want more than what Kawhi has. Because that's what you're saying. That's crazy to me.
They didn't want to do the no trade.
Do that?
Wow. So then now I'm like, all right.
What? I will say that's my biggest pet peeve when it comes to player podcasts, though, is the other guy of the player podcast. Like what Lo said in the beginning of the video, bro. A lot of it is just yes men. A lot of it is just motherfuckers that will just agree to everything that you got, which is a part of the purpose of having a player podcast, is you being able to control your narrative, is you being able to hop on a podcast and feel comfortable speaking the way you want to speak. But in terms of getting to the objective truth, I really do wish there were more podcasts set up where it's a player and another entertainer, another person that is not afraid at all to give pushback and have their own arguments. Even though the whole show is about Paul George, you know, the branding is the podcast, P-Podcast, someone shouldn't be afraid, or not even afraid. There should be another person that's just consistently giving pushback to whatever Paul George is giving. You know what I'm saying? And I just cannot think of a player podcast that does that right now. I think, ironically enough, the closest thing is Gilbert Arenas. As much shit as we give Rashad McCants, as much shit as we give Brandon Jennings, I will say this. The reason why I watch Gil's Arena a lot is because of the fact that who Gil got on that podcast, outside of Josiah, because Josiah is just like the host, he's like the Molly Karam of the shit, a lot of people are giving pushback, which I really do fuck with. But the Trae Young podcast, the Patrick Beverly podcast, Draymond don't even got a co-host, really just got like a backstage producer, the podcast P show, you know what I'm saying? Like all of these shows, there's not enough pushback, bro. There's not enough pushback.
Right. Well, then it only makes sense for me to do 4 years, 212, right?
Yeah.
Like at least pay me my money. If y'all gonna trade me, then y'all gonna trade me.
So now he went from, I don't want to get paid more than Kawhi because that's Kawhi. I'm not going to get more than he is. Then to turn around and say, well, even if I do get the same contract, I do want a clause in there that's more than what Kawhi actually has. And he said, well, if you don't do that, well, you might as well just max me out and give me a $212 million. Bro, you're contradicting yourself literally within minutes of you talking. And the only reason why I'm being this harsh on PG is because he does this routinely. PG is one of the players, I've never seen this before, and it's consistent, where every single time PG has to answer these type of questions, he talks himself up, he talks in ways that sounds great, but then literally just a couple months down the line, either his play or his own words is going to contradict what he says, or he's going to just find an excuse to why something didn't happen instead of him just taking responsibility of who he is as a player. And that's the reason why I applauded that clip earlier. Like, bro, he's actually taking some accountability. He's having some self-awareness here. But for you to then pivot back is crazy, and it's happening way too often. In the beginning of the season, he was talking about how, oh, now with there being more players on the roster, more ball handlers, more offensive players, I'm not going to have to put that much energy on that side. So now I can actually play defense a little bit more. Then at the end of the season, he was complaining about playing more defense.
The beauty of, like, I can exert energy in other places. You know what I mean? I thought because of Russ now taking more of the ball handling role, like that allowed me to play even more defense. You know what I mean? Because before having Russ, like I was the playmaker, I was the ball handler, I was creating for others, like I was, setting up plays. Now I can use that energy elsewhere. And so now having another guy out there, like now it's like, all right, well, let me see like how better I can rebound now. Like let me try to pick up rebound load now that I should have more energy to exert other places.
Sidebar, PG actually ended up having like literally one of the worst rebounding seasons of his entire career.
Say I'm guarding someone and the ball gets swung. Now I'm sprinting to get low man. Now that person is driving. Now I'm there ready to absorb the contact. I hit him with a verticality. Damn, I get knocked to the ground. I get back up. The ball gets swung again. I get up. I go close out and chase him down. You're tired already, right? Cool, we get the rebound. Now the ball gets swung to me. I'm running in transition. The defense is loading up, watching what I do. I'm tired. Like, I just did a lot down there.
So the point that I think many people are upset at when it comes to PG, because a lot of people have been frustrated about this clip, even when it comes to like Gil's podcast, I see a lot of people on the timeline on Twitter like, bro, everybody's upset is because, bro, it sounds like you just always find an excuse, bro. You always find an excuse. When it failed in OKC, it was Billy Donovan's fault because he couldn't figure out a way to put you, Melo, and Russ together all at the same time. Even though in the series in which y'all lost in, bro, all of y'all were egregious. It wasn't just Melo shooting bad. All of y'all shot bad. All of y'all struggled to stay in front of somebody.
Yeah, maybe I just don't watch podcast P enough, but I have listened to a decent amount. And whenever they get to these, yo, Paul, what happened, bro? What happened, big bro? It's never. I ain't gonna lie, I had a bad shooting night. Like, I had a bad shooting. Like, even just say that, you know what I'm saying? You don't even gotta say you played like shit. Hey, sometimes the shot just ain't falling, and it wasn't falling for me. You know what I'm saying? Like,
especially Melo and Russ, and all of y'all failed collectively. The following year when y'all failed, you sat here and said, oh, Dame, he just took a bad shot, man. He took a bad shot, man. It's a bad shot. Oh, man, you ain't never seen playoff P? Playoff P? Bro, and ever since then, you have been terrible. Then when you go into the bubble, you're talking about, it's the bubble. You know, we weren't really focused. We weren't really engaged. Be very mindful before the bubble even started. He was on FaceTime. He was on IG Live telling Dennis Schroeder, oh, we gonna be in trouble. Y'all gonna be in trouble now. Then you get in there, you're up 3-1, and all of a sudden, when you blow a 3-1 lead, we weren't really focused like that. It's just always another excuse.
So y'all team wasn't enough, so y'all got Reggie Jackson and Morris too, huh?
Morris, Joakim. No, I'm talking about. We got Joakim too. We was stacked. That's why we ready. Like, we waiting. We like, ooh, I hope this shit come back. Ooh.
No, I bet.
I had anxiety, a little bit of depression, just being locked in here, I just wasn't there. I checked out.
And now you're ending this 10-year with this team, and by the end of this season, you found another excuse for why you underachieved while the team added another offensive weapon around you. The constant complaining, constantly finding excuses and
Jaylen Brown could never. I ain't gonna lie, man. My ghost said I disappointed the city, the franchise. You know what I'm saying? I got to bring in my Celtics take in there, man. I think this is another point of when we talk about like who the better players in the league are. I'm sorry, but just the more and more I just think about what exactly the better player means. It cannot just be a talent convo, bro. I'm sorry, dude. It cannot just be a talent convo. We have to talk about durability. We have to talk about availability. We have to talk about guys who aren't going to pout and play worse and disassociate from the franchise just because of ongoing contract negotiations. You know what I'm saying? Like, these are the things that we got to talk about, bro. Because if I'm building a franchise, I want guys that are going to show up to practice, give their all, go into the game, and as long as you're wearing our jersey, you are going to put your best effort on the court. You know, and if you fuck up, you're going to take that to the chin, get back into the gym, and become a better player. That's what I want. But with the Clippers, and that's been the tale of Kawhi and PG, talent been there. It's the outside shit. It's the availability, it's the durability, and it's the lack of accountability. I don't know, bro.
Reasoning instead of just saying, hey man, I need to be better. I'm just not that good. And in pursuit of acknowledging that you're not that good, or you're not as good as you may need to be, especially at an advanced age, 34 years old, understandably, you're going to regress. You, in my opinion, athletically, you haven't been the same since that tragic injury, unfortunately, that happened with Team USA. And so since that has happened, you've tried to recreate yourself. And I think I think PG's done an amazing, I think he's done a really, really great job at that. But effectively, if you are acknowledging that you're not that caliber player, you're not taking a pay cut. You're accepting the amount of money that you are actually worth to, in contrast to what everybody else is getting paid. And you can say he has leverage, sure. I guess not enough leverage to convince them to just sign him a check of $212 million because they just let him walk for basically nothing. But hey, you did what you needed to do. You got paid, but the concept of why they didn't hand you that type of money is because they knew that A, they're trying to avoid the second tax apron, and B, just like you acknowledge, they also acknowledge from you acknowledging it as well, because they actually made a post about it. The Clippers said, oh man, we thought that PG was going to accept a lesser role. I mean, he openly acknowledged that. They knew they needed more financial flexibility with you receiving that contract that they handed so they can continue to add more talent around you, because they realized that, nigga, you're not that good. You signed that deal. Congrats.
My other thing too is you cannot say, it ain't about the money, it ain't about the money. When literally the reason why you didn't resign is because of the money. You can't, if it really was about taking a pay cut for the team, and if it really was about sacrificing for the team because I want to stay here for financial stability and all of these things, and I'm comfortable here, you wouldn't ask for more than Kawhi. After acknowledging that you are not Kawhi numerous times, even in this podcast. You don't do that. You know what I'm saying? And then come to find out, when you sign with another team, it is for a deal bigger than what you got. So again, it's just you can't play both sides of the fence. Was it about the money or was it not? If it's about the money, that's fine, bro. If that's your prerogative, that's fine. If it's about getting the biggest contract, that's cool. But don't be like, it wasn't even about that. It wasn't even about, like, it was. And that's okay. I will say this. I think the Clippers were wrong. If what Draymond said on his podcast is true, that the Clippers didn't want to send Paul George to Golden State just because they didn't want Golden State to get better, I think that is L that is L management. That is a L move, because first of all, I don't agree with this ideology of holding back your own team just because you want to hold back another team. I don't agree with that at all. You know, and I think what happened here is Paul George walked away for nothing, and there's an alternative scenario where at the very least you could have got something in return. You know what I'm saying? So
Congratulations, brother. You're now in Philly. I hope you win because those people out there, those Philly fans, they've been waiting for quite some time. And as a sidebar, if you're complaining about how you were out at the Clippers, I promise you, brother, you're going to be a third option out there in Philly. Yes, I'm saying it now. Offensively, ball handling duties and responsibilities, yes, Tyrese Maxey will be a bigger role, have a more featured in the offense than PG will this upcoming year. And of course, Joel Embiid. And then because you have yourself a big three, Embiid will be able to take some games off, so hopefully that ain't too much for you now because you need all that dirty work guys. But PG, you acknowledging that you need ball handler, passer, playmaker, that you need the dirty work guy, that you need another first option around you as well, that you need great coaching, that you need defense, that you need bench players, that you need all these things. But I still also need the max contracts, my nigga. I need all those things plus a max. Stop. Please stop. Man, let me know y'all thoughts in the comment section below. Y'all believe that Paul George at $50 million, you think he deserves a $50 million a year deal with no trade clause? Y'all think he was tripping? Y'all think the Clippers are tripping? You think I'm tripping? Let me know in the comment section below. And until next time, I'll see you all later. Peace.
The only other take I did bring up on the podcast was, is this a case of yesterday's price ain't today's price? And I feel like that is it. Like, that's what Paul George viewed it as is, all right, bro, y'all kept playing with the negotiation process for so many months. Now that we here, bro, fuck y'all, different price. If y'all really want me that bad, hey, man, it's up. And it's stuck. Like, I'm not moving from this. So, but yeah, let me know what y'all think. I think Paul George is bugging in this regard. But with that being said, shout out to Love for the video. Links to this video will be in the description. And I'm out of here, man. Peace.